Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new season of the Purposeful Life Show with your host, Adrian Starks. I'm excited to share some new updates of the show with you, starting with a new look, sound, and energy, as well as a variety of guests coming aboard with intriguing topics of conversation. I hope you enjoy the new level of energy that will be brought to the show. Thank you for all of your support since the very beginning in 2019. Wow, it's been 3 years already? Because of you, the Purposeful Life Show is now in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, and we aim to get it into the top 1%. Continue listening to the show and share it with others. You can also now listen to the show on my Facebook page at Adrian Starks, where you can comment in real time and communicate with me about your aha moments. Thank you again for all of your support, and let's make this one hell of a year and be purposeful about doing that. Wishing you all much love and success.
When we honor ourselves, we create boundaries more easily with other people. We learn what is ours to do. We can say, no, thank you. That is not mine to do. It just makes us healthier people to pay attention to this part of ourselves.
Welcome to the Purposeful Life Show on the Connect Now podcast with your host, Adrian Starks. If you're looking for the ideas that could be your breakthrough for change in your business, career, or personal life, then this podcast is for you. Join Adrian as he speaks on topics of personal and professional development for the person behind the business and interviews a variety of entrepreneurs, business owners, and thought leaders to reveal their ideas and solutions to success and its challenges. Subscribe to the show and leave us a review. It's time to connect, learn, and grow.
Well, welcome back to the Purposeful Life Show on the Connect Now podcast with your host, Adrian Starks, and I'm so excited to have you back for another amazing episode. Before we get started today, make sure you go ahead and download this podcast onto your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to the show. Leave us a review. We would love to know how we're doing. Speaking of how we're doing, how are you doing out there? I hope that you got some joy in your life. And if not, today we're going to add some of that joy back into your life because I have a special guest on, and her name is Joy Resor. And Joy is fantastic. And I've talked to her a couple of years ago, and I knew that I wanted to have her back on this show. And today she is back. Joy, can you say hello to our audience, please?
Greetings, everyone.
Greetings. We are going to have a blast, and I am excited to talk to you about what you've been up to the last couple of years and this light and enthusiasm and joy you're spreading out here to the world, to people in business, to people in family lives. I'm just ecstatic to talk about it. But before I do that, the audience needs to know a little bit more about you. So Joy emanates love, peace, and joy through her presence and offerings, including inspiring books she writes, appearing on podcasts, and serving clients as their spiritual mentor. Hear to that. Joy, I am excited to talk about these aspects of your life today, but let me just say first that the first time I talked to you was back in 2019. Let me think here. For the audience listening today, that was episode 28, Saying Yes to Life. And I think Joy has been saying yes to life quite a bit because she has been accomplishing so much. And you certainly live by your word, and you've done so much since then, creating a second volume to your worldly popular book, Designed to Shine. And we're going to get into that a little bit later and talk about that. So Joy, it's obvious why you have this name. And I have to say this. We are living in a time now of a lot of negativity and pessimism, and you truly are a joy to the world. What got you onto this path of sharing your gift of enthusiasm and inspiration with the world?
Wow, Adrian, what a great question. I was given this birth name, Joy. I was raised in a family that squashed my joy. So I tucked inward and I reached upward to the God of my understanding. I believed that my life would get better. When I was in my 30s, I wrote a prayer every day for a very long time to become the joy I am created to be.
Beautiful.
I watched divinity lead me to books, classes, healers, to clear all the garbage that was in me. The teachers that were putting me down, the parents, everything. And I am now so clear that I am here to bring joy and love and peace. And I'm doing it in a zillion ways. Some ways that weren't named in the information I gave you because there wasn't space. But I touch more people than I ever thought possible. And I'm so happy and fulfilled doing the work that I do because it's not work to me. It's fun.
I love that you said that. I had a great mentor of mine, and he said that if you live your passion, you never work a day in your life. And when you just said that portion of the joy, it's not work for you, it's actually joy to your soul. That brings me back to the centering of why we do what we do. And this is why I wanted you on the show, because I want people to be joyful about what they're doing out here on the planet. There are so many people, Joy, that they're just struggling along, as Henry David Thoreau would say, in quiet desperation, hoping that, okay, well, at some point I'll get happy. At some point, this will bring me joy. And it's like, no, you have to give that joy to the world. And speaking of that joy, let's talk about this spirituality piece, because that appears to be a part of your journey of finding out who you were and deciding that you were going to own that joy, which you're actually now working with clients on, which I find absolutely fascinating. So this piece about spirituality and how you're helping your clients, I just completed a book. It was called I Dare You by William Danforth. And in this book, he talks about the 4 sides of life and one being spirituality. Now, when I was getting ready to interview, I was like, ooh, I have to ask Joy about this spirituality piece. So here's my question for you. Why is it important for the busy entrepreneur, business owner, the side gig enthusiast, or the 9-to-5 person to incorporate this aspect of spirituality in their lives as a priority?
Well, Adrian, I believe that we are human beings having we are we are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Okay, yes.
And if we don't pay attention to our spiritual nature, which I would call it so many things, do we have reverence for nature? Do we have a spiritual practice? Is that meditation? Is it simply sitting on a park bench and breathing every day? How are we paying attention to ourselves as spiritual beings? I think honoring ourselves, like I have grown so much and changed so much, but I had this conversation with women today. When we honor ourselves, we create boundaries more easily with other people. We learn what is ours to do. We can say, no, thank you. That is not mine to do. It just makes us healthier people to pay attention to this part of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. I love that. When you talk about the honoring piece and that allows us to create these healthy boundaries, I was like, aha, that is the quote of the show. I'm going to use that one. You just made me think about something here. And I love that piece about creating the boundary, because one thing that I find with our audience, and particularly me in general as well, is that when we're working busy lives, we're so good at serving other people, Joy, that we forget about this part of ourselves as saying, can you show me some love? Can you just sit down with me at a park? Just me. Can we just go to this show together? And that part is you. And we've become so accustomed to being with everyone else that not with ourselves. So I love that piece, and I love you're teaching people that. Do you find that it's difficult for people to embrace that part of their lives, that spirituality part, or even to find it?
I believe it can be. I'm by nature an introvert. So I don't have a ton of experience with a ton of different people, but I attract people who love my presence. We give.
I love that. The magnificent gift of giving. And that is the key right here, giving ourselves out to the world. which you have been doing quite a bit of. And I wanted our audience to get to know a little bit more about this piece of you because brace yourselves, everyone. We've got a second part of joy that I'm going to share with you today. And that is this part of writing, of being this author who is really changing lives and families across the planet. And when I mentioned that I talked to Joy in 2019, she had a book, she still does, by the way, called Design to Shine. And this book has really been, I would say, on my top 10 list, actually, because I love poems. And when I read this book for the first time, A through Z, it really made me think about some things in a different perspective. And so now this book, I find that not only kids are reading, but adults are reading. And my question to you, Joy, about this book here is what inspired it? What brought this about? This deciding that I'm going to create a book that's going to inspire kids and adults, and it's going to be about poetry A through Z.
Well, Adrian, I didn't plan it. That poem, those words I wrote in my journal to become the joy I'm created to be. And I was led to heal. And I'd always gotten quiet and been with my relationship with everything I don't see, my understanding of divinity and angels and archangels. And I think it is this, that every creative project is floating around in the world, waiting for who is quiet enough to receive it. I have goosebumps naming this, but I received these books. One day in my journal, because I have written in my journal every morning for 40 years.
Oh my.
I wrote, a rhyme came out, something about attention, attention, pay attention. You today shines new with a bright, shiny view, something. And then I went to my computer after my journaling time and came a rhyme about balance, change, dance, energy, forgive, grateful. I think I wrote 7 rhymes before I sat back and I said, I am writing a book, an alphabetical book of rhymes that will speak to children and nurture the inner child of adults.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't know that until people have been telling me over and over, I need this book because my inner child is so abandoned, wounded, but these books nurture inner children.
Beautiful. That just gave me goosebumps because, as I mentioned before, this book is not just for kids, it's for adults too. And what brings these families together is this sitting down and reading this. And they're both immersing in these rhymes that pretty much touch them in a different way. And when I was reading this book, I felt like, oh, this is very intriguing, especially the part about change. Now, if you test me on that poem, I don't remember it, but I do know that you were speaking my language on that one, Joy. I was like, okay, this number C, this is mine right here. Change. I got it.
Would you like me to read it?
Yes. Could you please read it for our audience? And if I end up being quiet, maybe because I passed out because I just loved it so much, I don't know. I'll be quiet here, Joy. Go ahead and read it for me.
Change. Change, we all feel it. It's how the world rocks. Tight tulips that open, clock hands which tick-tock. A seal on the corner who likes your green hat, the one who is waving before sliding, curse splat. Change is forever. It's how the world turns. You fliggle or wiggle in flow as you learn. Sulking and screaming don't change a bit, but breathing through change lets smiles gently fit.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I just love the play on words, the beauty, the visual context that we get when we're listening to these rhymes, which plays a different factor on our minds, right? Because we're making connections, which is so brilliant. Thank you for reading that for us, because now I can truly tell the audience that this is why. This is why it's important for us to get back to that inner child, as you mentioned before, and to take a look at things from a different perspective. Because with a lot of my audience, we read a lot of heady books that are basically focusing on do this a certain way, do this a certain way, and goals, and visions and dreams. And that's great. However, there's this part of us that needs the creativity, and that comes from what you are doing. So I want to thank you for that. And my question to you, Joy, is how has this touched families? Like, what are some of the things that people have said to you about their experience?
Oh, goodness. People, mostly they just say, our family loves reading this book. And, when the books came, Adrian and listeners, I saw in my mind's eye that people were putting down their devices, their telephones, their iPads. They were holding their children or sitting on the floor with older children and taking turns reading these, but also to have conversations about the topics in these books.
Mm-hmm.
I really saw when these came, I saw this as it's not just for little children, but it's for conversation to see. I grew up in a family that didn't connect. We couldn't talk at the dinner table. We were sent to our rooms. We had to be quiet. I have some memories of when I was very young that my mother held me and read to me. And that gives me goosebumps because families will use this however they do. Some read it one rhyme a night for bedtime. Some people do it to start the day. Every family uses my books differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's every now and then I'm in awe of my life because I was at an event recently. I was at my first event 2 weeks ago, and it was the first event in 2 years. We were all wearing masks, and I used the tables that were there, an 8-foot table in front of me and an 8-foot table by the side of me.
Mm-hmm.
And to stand there and realize all that I have created, which is a co-creation, as I understand it, between me and divinity, it's really beautiful. And I had people walking up to me who wanted my advice about publishing books. And I had those moments of, wow, because years ago, I was the person attending the event who was so shy, who would come up to a table so hesitatingly because I was in awe of what those people were doing. And now I am the person at the table. But I have such a welcoming presence that I don't think any shy person stayed away from me. They came up and I just didn't really speak. I just smiled and let them say what they wanted to say. But I don't know. It's just pretty great. And also when the Design to Shine books were coming through me, I had like a soul memory that this is why my soul came to be named Joy, to have my joy squashed, and to then bring as much joy as I can bring to the world.
I love that. And you are truly a joy to us all today. And I'm excited for everyone that is going to be inspired from this conversation because you hit on so many points. And I love the process of you sharing your story and how you came to be this joyful person, because at the end of the day, it's a choice for us. We can choose the path that we want to be on and how we express ourselves out here on the planet. We're going to go on a short break and we're going to come right back. We're going to talk to you some more about Volume 2 of Design to Shine. And we're going to talk about some other things too as well that I believe we can all benefit from with your joy. We'll be right back. What if it were possible to get local fresh groceries delivered right to your front door? Just think how much time and stress it would save you. Well, Instacart gives you unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Forget that one ingredient for the family dinner that could offset everything? Instacart can deliver it to your front door in as little as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area to help you save money, and every item is hand-selected by shoppers based on your preferences. No more rock-hard avocados, and they will keep your eggs safe too. To start your 14-day free trial, follow the link in the show notes to let Instacart know that we sent you and to help support the show. Instacart. Never step foot in a grocery store again. Well, welcome back, everyone, to the second half of this show, and I'm hoping that you are getting quite a benefit from this wonderful and joyful conversation as I am today. I just can't stop smiling and giggling here because Joy is just an amazing person. And we talked in the first segment about Joy's path and the power of choosing what you want your path to be and how this path can unfold to you in so many ways. And Joy's path has unfolded in ways of spirituality. It's unfolded in ways of being an author to children, to adults, and spreading her love, her mission, and her support across the planet. So this second half, we're going to talk about the power of what happens when you stay the path. And she stayed the path, and now she has created volume 2 of Design to Shine, which I'm excited to talk about. So speaking of that, Joy, why a second volume?
Adrian, what happened was when the first volume came through me, it was an energy of, I believe I felt like I was channeling the spirit of Dr. Seuss, the man Ted Geisel.
Yes.
I later learned that Ted Geisel is in my soul group, which I don't know much about soul groups, but apparently we have them. And so both books, I really wrote them both in 2017. And the first volume came out in 2018. But then what happened was that there was there's a 3-year gap between when these books came out, 2018 and 2021, because the illustrator of the first volume did an exceptional job, and I was giving her space. She is a wonderful person in her 20s. She was in art school and having relationships and working and her busy life. So I just gave her a lot of space. And I kept editing the book and over again, and realizing that certain rhymes weren't feeling right. And what I know happened between these two books and how they're similar and different from one another is that the first volume, I would call it more traditional. Of the words that you would think in an alphabetical volume were values like love and peace, forgive, grateful. It's more like kindness, kind of what feels to me more just traditional, I think is the word I said. But the second book, to write another alphabet book and brings goodness into the world, it's just a little more out of the box. It's a little surprising. Like, here's the word for Q in the first book is quiet.
Yes.
I was in a quietness is important at times. Well, quiver is in the second book. And I opened to that page. Maybe I could read that rhyme.
Yes. Please share with us.
Quiver. Quiver appears when a scene makes you squirm, like digging in dirt where worms tend to worm. like Rover who quivers on the way to his vet, and how Jello jiggles after it's set. Getting called on in class when you'd rather pass can turn on a quiver, which zooms in real fast. Don't sweat if you quiver. Don't worry a bit. It's part of your day that fits how it fits.
Beautiful. You have such incredible poetry. It's more than just rhyming. Oh, because we all know that poems come in different fashions, right? And it comes to rhyme and meter and word placements. But your poems, they make you quiver. They give you goosebumps. They bring you joy. And I just love that. It's incredible. And this is why I am so happy that you decided to be on this planet, Joy, in this shape and form and energy, because that's what it's about at the end of the day, what energy we're putting out there. And for my audience listening today, I know we talk about a lot of different things about mindset and positivity, motivation, success, building businesses, but here is the thing. For you to build what you are doing, you have to have that inner child come alive so that you can create those opportunities for yourself. Creativity comes from that imagination. That imagination is the child inside of you. And what Joy is doing for us is helping us to visualize things differently through these poems, which opens up the brain, the mind for more creative flow. So it has this purpose behind it, which I love. So, Joy, a lot of entrepreneurs and parents are going to find great value in learning about this through the creativity and love of these books that you're putting out here, changing lives and creating, I believe, better bonding. When we talk about design to shine, I also want to talk about the power of the word shining. And you say that shining is a way that we share something with the world. What is that way? And can you talk a little bit more about that process?
Yes, I think there's the rhyme in the first book called Shine, and it talks about polishing our shine. How are we doing that? And I think for me, it's that larger topic of how are we honoring who we are? Like, for example, if we are by nature a particular way, maybe our nature is very gentle. We are not serving ourselves by going to violent movies. We are serving ourselves by walking by the lake. You know, I think that we shine more when we have cleared what's wounded in us, when we honor who we are, when we take care of ourselves. Like, I don't weigh very much more than I weighed when I was in high school. I'm a petite person, but I care for myself. And people think I'm very much younger than I really am on the calendar. But that is a youthful spirit. That is because I nurture my inner child. Now, years ago, I was holding stuffed animals in the bedroom. That was decades ago. Now I have some stuffed animals hanging around my office in a chair, but I hula hoop every now and again.
That's so fun.
I know, I blow bubbles. My partner, I have the most amazing partner. I'm divorced, and years after that divorce, and the men that I attracted that gave me gifts and I gave them gifts, but now I have attracted this incredible soul. He bought a bubble machine, and we have been on the road a little bit. We went to my high school reunion and we never got the machine out. But this one day, we're in a traffic jam. A truck had flipped over and blocked the lane. And there we were, waiting and waiting and waiting, just sitting there on a beautiful day. And after 20 minutes, Michael got out of the car, filled up the bubble machine with bubbles, told me to put down the sunroof, and put it on the top of the car and sent bubbles onto the highway. And after a few minutes, I wanted to stretch and I got out of the car to stretch. And people came over, people thanking us for the bubbles, people in the front of us saying, I wish I was behind you. And then the wind changed and the bubbles started going forward. And I asked those people, I said, hey, my name is Joy and I could read you some rhymes while we're standing here. Would you like that? And these people standing around me said, sure. And I got out the Design to Shine books and shared those on the highway. This is, what it reminds me of is moments. We can bring anything to a moment. Are we bringing anger, angst, stress? Are we bringing light, peace? I mean, we enter moments and we bring goodness to those moments.
I love that. And so well said. We bring peace and love to those moments that we share our lives with others. And it's so important, the type of energy that we are putting out there moment by moment. And Joy, this is absolutely just a wonderful conversation. And I can see why this book you have, Volume 1 and Volume 2, is doing so wonderful. And speaking of shining, I saw an interview with you on Kidlit TV that was absolutely phenomenal. And I would love for our audience to watch that interview. So how can our audience get in touch with you and to find out what you're doing, resources so they can learn more about how to continue to design and shine in their own life?
Thank you, Adrian. Yeah, people could look up kidlittv.org, Designed to Shine, and they will find that interview that Rocco did of me. It's just 10 minutes, and people are loving that because I can raise the vibration
You
of
certainly can.
any room. And Rocco's inner child was very awake. So yeah, but people could reach me through my website, joyonyourshoulders.com, on Facebook, Joy on Your Shoulders, on LinkedIn, Joy Resor. I am happy to serve. I'm just so happy to be alive. And I would say one more thing, that years ago, I was not grounded in my body. I was living from my neck up.
I know that feeling.
And I was running hard, being fast, hurting myself, getting into accidents. But these days I have slowed down. I'm grounded in my body. I am accomplishing more than ever. I think there are paradoxes
Powerful.
in life. And one of them is that when we slow down, time expands.
Interesting. When we slow down, time expands. I like that. And for these busy people out here, because I know we're busy bees. And one thing about busy bees, I'm going to say this, they don't perform very long. If we look at the bee colony, speaking of nature, has a way of teaching us. Worker bees only live about 3 to 5 months. And the queen bee, she lives 5 to 6 years. Why is that? Well, she's delegating. She's taking time. She's not doing everything by herself. She's not running around. And I think that we have to take this mindset of slowing down, delegating, figuring out what we need to do, find that inner child, and allow ourselves to play with that inner child. So what does that look like for you right now that are listening? What is your inner child wanting? Maybe it's wanting to paint. Maybe it's wanting to go out on a joy walk. Maybe it's wanting to go and have some fun, bowling, or going to, I don't know, movie theater, someplace. Make sure you wear your mask, okay? But going to the movie theater or wherever you may think that you want, that inner child is asking for you to give it some attention. Reading a book, reading poems. I would suggest starting with Design to Shine, Volume 1, and then working your way up to Volume 2, because that will ignite that inner child inside of you. And we all need it. Trust me. Even though you are running a business, you're successful, you still need that part of you to be creative, and that is what we call the inner child. Thank you, Joy, for bringing that inner child to life today and showing us how to be more open, more vulnerable, more free, my friend.
Thank you, Adrian. It's been a delight to speak with you.
Thank you for listening to the Purposeful Life Show on the Connect Now podcast with your host, Adrian Starks. Subscribe to the show and connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. Learn more about us by visiting our website at cnbn.ca. Go to connectnowpodcast.com to be inspired by more life-changing content. Let's connect, learn, and grow.